Today, Baba is asking us to pay attention that I am not giving sorrow to anybody through thought, word, and deed. And do you sometimes feel that you gave sorrow to somebody? Yes, through thought or word or deed. And you see, many a times we give sorrow, but we are not even in our, in our, what do you say, in our sensibility to gauge that I gave sorrow. Because when we are full of ego, then we can't see what we are doing. Yes. So sometimes we give sorrow, we create the thought, we speak the words, or we do acts which give the other person sorrow, but we fail to acknowledge it because there is a lot of ego. And there are other times, so this thing about sorrow is very complicated. So there are times when you give sorrow but you don't acknowledge it because of ego. Then there are other times when you do nothing but the other person takes sorrow because their expectations are not met. Okay. Then there are other times when you give sorrow, you acknowledge it, you're giving sorrow, but you don't have the power to make amends. Okay, so there are at least three different scenarios. So first, when you give sorrow and you don't acknowledge it, because you think you are entitled to give sorrow. Yes, and this being entitled, is a sign of ego, and by virtue of your relationship or role or position, you feel that it is okay for you to speak or behave in a certain manner, and that the other person must deal with it. And you go on doing that because that sense of being entitled makes you feel that I'm not doing anything wrong. So when you are in ego, the language you speak is, I may not be kind, but I'm right. So unkind and right, they go together when you are in ego, because you think that by virtue of your position or your role or who you are, you have the privilege of being unkind and you are still right. So that is one area where, like, I will give you one example. So, there was this one Mata, and her son got 85 marks in maths, and she had something about, some complex about maths, and she wanted her son to get 100, and she beat up her son very badly. And then when the son, and because of that one episode, the son completely went into his shell, and he got very traumatized, and After that, he was never the same. He was functioning way below his capacity. And then she had to see many psychiatrists and, show visit many people so that this problem with the son could be addressed. But then she kept saying, everywhere she went, she kept saying that I beat him up only for his own good, because he doesn't understand how important maths is. And I understand how important maths is. Yes, because I have borne the brunt of not being good at maths, so I know how important maths is. He doesn't understand, so I was just trying to push him to be better at maths. So, sometimes we are beating and shouting and screaming and being rude, and our choice of words is very undignified, and the way we are thinking, and sometimes you're just putting down the other person in your awareness, in your thought, you are thinking about somebody as a nobody, and all of that is going on, and you think that you're right and entitled, so you keep doing it. But that is, so you see, everybody is who they are. And if you have a problem with who somebody is, then that's not a good problem to have, because you cannot question somebody's existence. People, when we are in ego, we think that they should exist only if they are right according to me, or they should cease to exist. Or I should beat them up, bash them up until they become like I want them to be. But that is not how it works. Everybody has their own limitations, they have their own. And you see, the interesting thing is, everybody will get according to what they do. So if somebody is less capable, less competent, they will get less in life. And that is their drama. But why do you have to scream and shout and be rude at them? So if somebody is not deserving, it's okay. You don't have to be the judge of whether they are deserving or not deserving. And whether you are in an office or in a family, you see, they will get as much as they deserve. So you give them, so you don't, if somebody is not deserving of some role and responsibility, then you don't give them that. That's okay. But why do you have to give them sorrow? You don't give them privileges is okay. They will earn the privileges according to their deservability. You think that somebody doesn't deserve a certain privilege, that's okay. But why do you have to give somebody sorrow? Why do you have to think badly, speak badly, behave badly with somebody? And why do we do that? Why is there this urge to, speak in anger, behave in anger? Because there is anger inside and we are not working on it. So Baba says, never give sorrow. Never give sorrow through thought, word and deed. And if you are in a position where like you are a parent and it is your job to mentor the child, you do that. But why do you have to? So let's say the child is not listening to you, then do you have to beat the child up? No, you can just not give them their favorite thing. Just change the Wi-Fi password. Okay, so you didn't give any sorrow. You didn't engage in any act of violence, through thought, word and deed. You just didn't give them what they don't deserve, and that's okay. That's your That's your right when you are in authority. So, when you are in a position of authority, giving somebody something or not giving somebody something is your right. Yes, but it doesn't apply to basic necessities like don't give food to somebody for 2 days because that person is not being polite. Yeah, maybe you don't give halwa to somebody. But dal roti you have to give na. You can't say, you have been behaving badly, so I won't give you dal roti also, and you sleep hungry. That's not the way. So you have to understand what is giving sorrow and what is not giving sorrow. Not quenching somebody's palate is okay. Punishing somebody by saying that, in the yagya in Baba's time, there was a rule that everybody had to talk in Hindi because the yagya started in Sindh. And then the dadis at that time, they had this tendency to talk in Sindhi to each other. Okay, and then Baba wanted them to learn Hindi because Shiv Baba spoke the Murli in Hindi. So then Baba said, you all have to speak in Hindi with each other. Now, when somebody made a mistake, then you know what was the punishment? They were not given papad that day. And the papad was a favorite. So they will not be given papad if they make this mistake of speaking in Sindhi. So that was the punishment. And you see, in the Shastras also we show that, when Shri Krishna did something, where he was mischievous, then Yashoda Ma used to tie him to a pole. Just stop him from making mistakes and being mischievous. Not tie him tight so that he feels pain or something, but just restrict his movement. So these are the kind of things you can do to bring about discipline, and you have to be very creative with punishment. Just know what they love and what they are affected by, and don't give them that. That is the way to punish when somebody is erring. Because yes, of course, when you are in a position of authority and you have to maintain decorum, then you have to penalize somebody, otherwise they will not be deterred from engaging in a mischievous action again and again. So this is how you do it. Or in the office, don't give them promotion, don't give them incentive. That's how it's done. And if they want the incentive, they want the promotion, they should work hard. But why give sorrow? Why shout and scream and be rude and give them labels and ignore them and talk nasty to them or behave badly, snatch things, insult them, or just think badly about somebody? Why do you need to do that? That's not necessary. Until and unless you are being forced by your sanskars. It only becomes necessary when your sanskars force you. So Baba says, we children of Baba, we do not give sorrow to anybody, because we understand that when I give sorrow to somebody, I will have to repent for it. I will have to pay for it. You give sorrow, you receive sorrow. Why do you think we are in such a sorrowful state today? Why is there so much sorrow in the world? Just think about the variety of sorrow that exists in the world. In one Murli, Baba said, there are 100 prakar ke dukh. So, at least 100 types of sorrow are there in the world. And you could make a list of all of that. And why is there so much sorrow in the world? Because you are getting what you're giving. And all that sorrow is coming because we have given sorrow. So there is no need to give sorrow to anybody. And just know that, it's not your duty to be somebody's bhagya vidhata and, ensure that they get something. No, they will get as much as they do. You don't have to give them anything extra, but you don't have to take their dignity also. They have the right to live with dignity, and that you can't take away. You may not give them opportunity, you may not give them privileges, but then you have to give them dignity, respect. That much you have to give now. So Shiv Baba says, don't give sorrow. Then you see, I don't want to talk much about it, but sorrow is much deeper than just anger and violence. So, when you engage, when you condition somebody to believe that lust is important, or when you condition somebody into greed and attachment and ego, that's also giving sorrow. Yes, so you see, we are training other people to be sorrowful through our thought, word, and act. For example, if you are training somebody to be body conscious, so who tells the children, especially the girl child, that their physical appearance is very important? It's the parents, is it not? And then you see, the physical appearance is not something they can help. Can they help how they look? And then if you're constantly telling them that you're less valuable because you look a certain way, then that means that you're sowing the seeds for lifetime sorrow in them. So training somebody into body consciousness is giving sorrow. So, and the thing is, you will give what you have. So if you are body conscious, you will make somebody body conscious. Even if you don't speak a word, you will keep thinking about somebody as less valuable because of what they have and what they do. And that vibration will reach them, and they will figure out that I am less valuable. And it takes a very short time, especially when the child is young, it takes a very short time for you to condition the child into believing that I am less valuable, but it takes a whole lifetime to pull them out of it. Again reinforcing that you are valuable becomes a Herculean task. So conditioning somebody into, money matters and body matters and this matters and that matters, and these things are also in the body conscious world factors that you can't control. So telling somebody that finding a partner is very important. Now they can't find a partner, what to do? Kill themselves because they can't find a partner. So everybody is saying, oh my God, you're alone, and how will you live alone? How will you die alone? How will you take care alone? But the thing is, they did not find a partner, and that's okay. But if you condition somebody into believing that, relationships of attachment and, worldly relationships are very important, and it's impossible to live without them, then that is sowing the seeds for sorrow. Or, telling them that the relationship should be like this, this, and this. They should love you, care for you, they should be like this, like that. And then they don't find that kind of a person, and then what happens? They suffer all their life because of what? Because of their idea which somebody just sowed into them. I will give you an example from my own life. When I was growing up, when I was 14 or 15 years of age, I was talking to my father and I asked him, "What is marriage?" And then my father said, "You see, beta, like we are four people living in the same house and we are different from each other and we have to make efforts to gel with each other. Similarly, you go to a different family and there are four different people and you have to make effort to gel with them also." And that is called marriage. And then I asked, "Is it optional or mandatory?" Then he said, "It is completely optional." And then I asked, "Would you like me to get married?" So he said, "Yes." So I said, "Why?" So he said, "Because I want to hand over my responsibility to somebody else." So then I asked him, "So how do you know he will handle it well?" So he said, "I don't know that." And that gave me so much perspective about relationships. And then I knew that, all this is there, but, this is not what it is made out to be. And that made life very easy because in later life, I had no expectations. I was very happy with whatever anybody brought to the table. So Shiv Baba says that, we are conditioning other people. We are not just giving sorrow through acts of violence, through thought, word and deed, but we are also giving sorrow by, believing that attachment, greed, ego and lust are our basic nature, and then conditioning other people into that. You can't live your life without money. Of course you have to earn, but you can't live without work, and work will bring money. So tell them the importance of work. Don't tell them the importance of money. Money is a byproduct. If you tell somebody the importance of a byproduct without telling them the importance of the main thing, then they are always in sorrow, because they don't understand that to get better, do better. So this is how we are giving sorrow. And who are we giving sorrow? The ones we claim to love the most. So Shiv Baba says, don't give anybody sorrow. So, and the second kind of, so this is where we give sorrow, and sometimes we are not aware, so we need to understand that we need to check that we are giving sorrow. Then there is another situation where we are giving sorrow, but we can't help it. So, now that we have checked, okay, I'm giving sorrow, but I can't check, I have checked that I'm giving sorrow, I'm behaving entitled, I'm in ego, I'm engaging in acts of violence, I am conditioning other people into ego and greed and attachment and lust, but then I'm not able to help myself. Even if I plan, even if I pledge that I won't do it today, I still do it. Okay, so then Baba tells us that in order to not give sorrow, you have to fill yourself with a lot of power. So, you have to become very sweet. You have to make your nature first class. And how do you make your nature first class? There is only one method to change sanskars. And that method is that you remember Baba. So remembrance of Baba, having yoga with Baba is the only method to change your sanskars. So when you realize that you are giving sorrow, you are engaging in acts which you shouldn't, which you feel guilty about later, but you still engage in them anyway. So then you have to understand that you are in very bad condition as a soul. And then you have to put in longer hours of yoga, make effort to have longer meditations and put in more time in Baba's remembrance. Because you see, when you know you have a disease physically, what do? You take out time to cure yourself. If you don't cure yourself, then what happens? Slowly, gradually, that disease becomes debilitating in nature. So, here also, once you have diagnosed that there is an illness inside, because A, you are engaging in wrong actions, and B, you are not able to help it. So, then you have to understand that the soul is in a very depleted state. And when the soul is depleted, then you have to put in longer hours of meditation and, pay attention to practice of meditation. So just sitting in soul consciousness and remembering Baba is what you have to do to change your sanskar. Because when you have ego, anger, attachment, you will give that. So in order to fill yourself with peace, purity, love, you need to remember Baba. So this is one scenario. Second scenario is, so two scenarios we talk about. One, not discerning that I am giving sorrow. So Baba gives a checklist and makes us aware that you might be giving sorrow. Then second, helping yourself with yoga power so that you can be in a position to not give sorrow. Then third is, sometimes you are not doing anything, but the other person is being sorrowful. So you checked yourself that you have not done anything wrong. So don't check yourself with ego. Check yourself in the light of knowledge. I'll give you one example. I met one person and he was 55 years of age, and at that time he had a reputation of being very rude, and he would be very rude to anybody and everybody around him. And then he always said that I am not rude, people are taking me wrongly. Okay, fair enough. You don't recognize, nobody can do anything about it. Then what happened, one day his granddaughter, she got very sick. And when she got very sick, there were two people who told him that your granddaughter is very little and she is reaping the fruits of your karma. And because you have been very rude, so she is in trouble. She is so terminally ill. And then that brother came running to me and he said, do you think that my granddaughter could be reaping the fruit of my karma? So I said, that is the next question. First answer me, do you think you have done any of that karma? Because earlier you used to tell me that whatever I am doing is right. So today that person told you that you did some bad karma. So do you believe that you did that? So he said, yes, of course, I have been rude. So you see, sometimes people don't recognize that they are rude just like that. But then when something happens and it gnaws in your heart that this is because of my karma, that means that you're doing such karma. And then I told him that, okay, so you have to understand that she is not reaping the fruits of your karma. That doesn't happen. So karma is individual. That is out of question. But you feeling guilty and suffering as a grandfather by hearing that she is reaping the fruits of your karma is your karma. So this guilt that you're experiencing is coming from your karma. She is not suffering because of you, but you are suffering because of your own karma. If you had not done that, then today you would not be guilty. So we have to understand that, sometimes when we are in ego, we will say, no, no, I have not done. But when things are tough, then your heart keeps gnawing at you, and you don't have the confidence that, this is not my doing. And you feel, everybody, when they are in trouble, they say, I don't know what karma I have done to get this. And why do you say that? Because we are doing such karma. So Baba says, be very wary, check from what Gyan Baba is telling us, check your actions. Don't give sorrow to anybody. And if you are not in a position to mend yourself, meditate, remember Baba. Fill yourself with power, and then you will be in a position to change your behavior. And then third thing is, you have not done anything, but because somebody is expecting something from you, and especially vicious expectations, when you don't give in to somebody's lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, then they get very upset with you. Yes, so then you should know that it is not your duty to feed somebody's lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. It is not your duty. And if somebody is sorrowful because of that, just send them good wishes. Don't do anything else. Yes, somebody is putting pressure on you that, it is your duty to make me feel secure and this and that. No, it's not your duty. Your duty is to be loveful and caring and do your best. But whatever they are feeling is their own creation. And if you think that you honestly check, and if you think that you are neglecting somebody, you are rejecting somebody, change that. But if you are not doing it, then you must know that feeding somebody's lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed is not your duty. But in the world, it is said that when you are a spouse or you are children, then feeding into vices of your, spouses and your parents is your duty. Yes, but that is not true. And you see, I remember there was this one sister, and she told me that my husband is into heavy drinking, and my mother-in-law says that he misses company while he drinks. So because his wife is not drinking with him, so you must drink with him, and then he will feel he has company. And it is your duty as a companion to give him company. And then she said that because I was conditioned that way to think that, feeding into what my husband wants, satisfying him is my duty. So I started drinking with him. But then what happened is, he is drinking and now I am also on the verge of being a drunkard. So then I left. And I felt, no, I don't want to be this person. And then there was a lot of, this thing that you are selfish and you are only thinking about yourself, and what about him? He wants. So you see, these bizarre kind of things are also happening. So Shiv Baba says, it's not your duty to feed into anybody's whims, fancies, and lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, nothing. So you must know that you do your duty, be respectful, be caring, be loveful. In the house, if you have divided chores, you do that. And basically have an attitude of benevolence. Don't think negative about anybody, but have your own boundaries. Crossing your boundaries because somebody expects you to do that, that's not making somebody happy. And nobody made anybody happy by crossing their own boundaries, let me tell you. They only made themselves sorrowful. Yes. I will tell you one incident. There was one lady, and she told me that my husband took away all my money all the time. And I never drew a line because I thought my money is his money. And the problem is not that he took money, but he swindled money. He just wasted it. He wasted it into gambling, this, that. And I was raised with this morality that it is shared property. So, your money is his money. So, I never stopped that. But what happened is, he never became happy. He is still complaining and he is still telling me that, you didn't give me enough. But I have become a pauper. I have earned all my life and I have nothing left to my own. So this is how it is. Don't feed anybody's greed. You must know how to differentiate between need and greed. Somebody needing food and medicines and clothing and shelter, that is a need. You do that for people who you are responsible for. That is your duty. But don't feed into anybody's greed. That's not your duty. And even if they tell you 100 times that you have given me a lot of sorrow by not doing that, don't listen to that. So Baba says that, but you must check, whether you are giving sorrow or not. So, and anyways, rudeness and bad behavior, never indulge in that. Setting boundaries doesn't require you to be rude and bad, does it? No, setting boundaries doesn't require that. So just set your physical, financial, social, every kind of mental, emotional boundaries in accordance with what Shiv Baba is teaching us for. And don't have any second thoughts about if somebody is trying to talk you into believing that you setting boundaries is giving them sorrow. Don't go into that. That is all gaslighting. So don't go into that. And if somebody tells you I'm in sorrow because you set your boundary, just keep quiet and give them good wishes. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to speak. You don't have to. You have already set your boundary. So why do you have to convince the other person? They are in pain. Let them handle their pain. And in order for them to handle their pain, you help them, give them good wishes. But do not go into this thought that maybe I am giving sorrow to somebody because I am setting my own boundary. It doesn't work like that. So there are 3 scenarios. So when you can't recognize you're giving sorrow, take the help of knowledge, understand, check whether you're giving sorrow. Second, if you are not able to overcome giving sorrow, meditate, have yoga power. And of course, we are not in a position to not give sorrow. That's why we are giving sorrow. So meditation is a must. And then how many hours depends on how weak you are. Then third thing is, we must not think that I am giving sorrow because somebody is just telling me. I remember there was one Mata, she told me that my daughter, I got her married and then her marriage didn't work. And she came home and we gracefully accepted her and she's living with us. And we have no problems with that. She has joined a job also. But day in and day out, she keeps telling me that you are the reason why my marriage broke. And then I have never talked her out of marriage or anything. But she is telling me that, you didn't teach me how to be diplomatic and you didn't teach me how to be this and that's why my marriage broke. And then I'm crying all day. So I said, no. She's upset. She's in sorrow. So she will speak this language. You don't go into that. you don't take it personally. Okay, so you have to understand that when people are in sorrow, they engage in blame. They will tell you that you are the reason for my sorrow. So there you have to check whether you are the reason or not. And if you think that you have done something, make amends. It doesn't cost you saying a sorry. It doesn't cost you to do something. Maybe you have to say sorry 100 times. How does it matter? Do it if you really think you did something and that caused sorrow. But if you didn't do anything and that's happening, then you must know that that soul is in pain. Any vice, pain is also a sign of a weak soul. Any weak soul will speak weak words. They will blame, they will tell you that you are the reason why they are in sorrow. But don't take it personally, just give them good wishes, because you're Baba's child. Your job is to, help them overcome that pain and sorrow. But don't take it personally and don't go into what have I done, what have I done. Okay, Om Shanti.